right, let me tell you something, ladies. Now, this whole idea, because I hear this all the time with people saying, oh my God, it's too much work. Ma'am. Now, you mastered how to do your job. You mastered how to pay your bills. You mastered putting on some very difficult outfits. I've seen some of y'all pictures, okay? Y'all wear some cute outfits when you get all dressed up. I have no idea how you even zipped that thing up or got it to cover the places that need to be covered. You was able to figure all of that out. How in God's heaven are you not able to figure out how to be able to properly vet, select, and attract the right man? Somebody please tell me. How is it that you can't learn and master a technique that can completely change your life, that can double your income, that can help you to have an amazing man who loves your soul and also contributes to your household, who also contributes when it comes to the quality of your life? Somebody tell me. Like, is the brain shut down? Like, what is it? How is it that you're able to learn the difficult things you learned when you was in college and in school? You learn on your job how to do your job. But when it comes to dating, then that's when you decide that you want to check out. That's too hard. Because at the end of the day, you have to be careful what you're telling yourself. What are you speaking and what are you affirming and what are you telling yourself? Because if you're lying to yourself, ma'am, by saying that it's too much work, then you're setting yourself up. Because guess what? The men are studying you. And usually it's when you least expect it. Usually when you're not clear on your intentions, when you don't know what you're doing, that the men who are up to no good and who don't have good intentions, they're the ones that's coming for you, ma'am. They're the ones that catch you off guard. They're the ones who sweep you off your feet only to drop you later on and have you regretting. So it is important for you to understand the game, because whether if you want to play or not, ma'am, the game is being played. And just because you decide to call a timeout does not mean that the game isn't still being played on you. And when I say a game, it means that there's a process. There is rules to this whole dating game. And if you don't know the science and if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to get severely hurt and or be lonely, which means you're going to end up hurt, ma'am, and or lonely. And it's not worth that. So it's better for you to learn better so that you can do better and so that you can have better. I learned this lesson the hard way 20 years ago when I found myself a single woman with a blessing in the form of a child. I was homeless. I had nothing to my name. And as I sat there with my baby, feeling like a complete failure, I graduated pre-med biology from Florida State University. I was accepted into medical school. I was going to become a pediatric cardiologist. And here I was. I was homeless and I was broke because I made poor decisions when it came to selecting the man for me. I didn't know how to be able to properly date, vet, and select the right man because all I knew was what I saw. And I repeated the patterns that I saw with my parents. I saw my father be abusive to my mother, sometimes even beating her with a belt as if she was a 5-year-old. And so what did I do? Even though I said I would never ever let a man abuse me, I would never ever let a man control me, I ended up in an abusive, controlling relationship. And when he left, I had nothing. So I had to fix that real quick because I realized that I was the biggest failure to my daughter. I let her down. Here I was, graduated with honors, and now I can't even feed myself. I went 3 whole days, with not a morsel of food. I couldn't afford any food. I couldn't afford any gas. I couldn't take care of myself. Thank goodness that I was nursing her because I could nurse her. I couldn't afford diapers. I had to use pillowcases in order to change my daughter. And as I sat there with her, crying, feeling like a failure, I made her a promise. I said that mommy was going to figure this out, that I was going to break the pattern of abuse that my mother experienced, that her mother experienced, and I was going to do that so that she didn't experience it. I told her I was going to show her, second promise, what healthy love looks like so that she can be able to replicate that and have healthy love. And the last thing I promised her was a big backyard. And I'm so blessed to say that I was able to keep every single one of those promises. Everyone. Exceeded all of them. Now, how did I do that? How I was able to keep my promises was I leaned on the science. I'm a science girl. I believe that if I could figure out what is the formula for being able to attract any man I wanted, means that I can increase my options. And as I increase my options, I increased my chances of being able to select a quality man who is effed up, fun, faithful, and once forever to love my soul. So I did what scientists do. I did a dating experiment, and I went on 100 dates in a little over 3 months, and I interviewed over 4,000 men, women, couples. And I read hundreds of love, dating, and relationship books. I read human behavior books. I read anthropology books on the anthropology of attraction. I studied it like my life depended on it, because it did. And the more I learned and the more I did my dating experiment, the more powerful I became. I went from getting played literally all the time, y'all. And whatever story you have experienced, multiply that by like 100. And I did that. I experienced it. I made that mistake. I did that. So when I was going on the dating experiment, I was willing to do whatever it took so my daughter didn't experience the same dysfunctional relationships that me, my mother, her mother, and generations beyond had experienced. But what I started to find is that there were patterns. I started to be able to predict the way a man would behave. I started to learn, like, what are the buttons that can trigger a man to be turned on for me and want to do whatever it is that I wanted him to do, or to be turned off by me. And the information became so powerful that I knew with unwavering confidence that I could get any man to fall for me in less than 30 days.